Please share your thoughts in comments and like this video.
Yukina inquired of Bishop Hain what he was talking about. Bishop replied that Yukina must have had some kind idea of what he was talking about, but he didn't understand. Bishop mentioned Yuusha, which means hero, and Yukina wondered who it might be. The waiter expressed with anger that he was talking about Laricus. Yukina wondered if he's the one who became a hero. He remembered Bishop talking about a hero named Laricus yesterday, but he was too lazy to listen, so he realized that Mr. Hero was Laricus. Bishop expressed that Master Laricus must now embark on a journey to gain power to fight against the Demon Lord, stating that at the rate he's traveling, he will run out of steam halfway through the journey. Yukina agreed with what the bishop had said. Bishop also explained that Laricus is going to the capital to learn some skills. However, it would have been a pain to go alone, so he wishes someone would accompany him. By hearing Bishop's words, Yukina plans to avoid the circumstances, so he informs Bishop that he just remembered having more farm work to do and was going home. Bishop responded, reminding Yukina that the hero chose him and asked if he didn't want to explore the world. Yukina mentioned that he does, but questioned why it had to be him, as he's a farmer and needs to work to support himself and pay taxes. Bishop assured him, saying he'll talk with the church to waive his taxes, provide a stipend for his stay in the capital as the hero's caretaker, and, of course, cover the expenses for his journey to the capital. Yukina appreciated the proposal and agreed to take on the role as Laricus's caretaker. The bishop remarked that Yukina changed his decision rather quickly. Meanwhile, Laricus pondered how he became a hero, with the bishop mentioning there should be a birthmark on his right hand. That's the holy grail of God's chosen ones, undeniable proof that he is a hero. Upon seeing the mark, Laricus thought of himself as a chosen one. His parents called him, saying that from the time they picked him, they knew a day like this would come, emphasizing that he didn't have time to waste in a small village. Laricus expressed gratitude, saying he still didn't know how to repay them. His parents replied that Laricus is the best young lad they have ever met, and they ask him to be proud of himself and say that he is the village's pride and joy. The waiter interjected, mentioning that Yukina didn't come and ask the hero why he chose him. The hero mentioned that, despite being of the same age, they weren't that close. He observed that Yukina was different from the other villagers, noting his behavior, even though he wasn't connected to anything in particular. The hero explained the recurring disaster of the Demon Lord threatening the world every few hundred years and spreading destruction and chaos. The only thing that could compete with it was the hero. Afterward, they began their journey to the capital. Laricus reflected on the idea that he was chosen to be the hero, feeling proud of it as if he were part of a fairy tale he heard repeatedly as a child. He took pride in the villagers' approval, but considered Yukina to be much more normal. Yukina remarked that it's a long way to the capital. In response, the hero mentioned that there weren't too many adversaries, so they would likely get there without much trouble. Yukina privately considered the church members to be formidable, questioning if it was worth it. He mentioned to the hero that he couldn't recall the last time the hero beat him, relying on him despite being better. The hero expressed curiosity about Yukina's statement. Bishop informed them that the capital was almost in sight, and they both observed Frestia, the capital of Arcades. Yukina was surprised by the tall buildings and market areas. The hero noted the significant difference from the village. Bishop then told the hero that he wanted to request an audience with the king. Yukina stepped down from the vehicle, expressing his intention to stay and stating that he would show up at the nearby church if needed. Bishop jokingly mentioned beating him up the next time they meet. Yukina reflected that his decision to go to the capital wasn't solely for the money. There was a place he had always wanted to visit if given the chance. Yukina expressed his liking for going to the District of Lights, mentioning that as a man, he aimed to have a splendid first time and found bosoms to be sources of happiness and comfort. He decided to request the capital's most beautiful lady for this special occasion. However, upon arriving, he realized that the area's atmosphere didn't match the excitement, as public order wasn't the best. While in the area, he heard a sound requesting someone to stop. As soon as he heard the sound, Yukina prompting to go to their rescue and tie them on the floor. Yukina inquired if the person was all right, and she thanked him, assuring him she was fine. When Yukina asked her about her answers being laced with doubt, she replied that he was strangely good at tying people up. Yukina, ensuring her well-being, couldn't help but take a closer look at her large breast and found her impressive. Upon Yukina's reaction, she asked if something was the matter. He complimented her beauty, calling her one Nissan, and apologized for being captivated. She blushed at his praise. Yukina suggested leaving the place, stating it wasn't suitable for someone as pretty as her. She responded that she wasn't used to being called that. At that moment, someone outside overheard their conversation, and both Yukina and the woman noticed his presence. Then Yukina suggested her to leave the place with him, where she hesitated, but he asked her to put a bit of trust in him and grabbed her hand to leave the place. First she shocked, but she agreed to run away with him happily. Yukina mentioned that it should be safe now that they've come this far, and he asked if she agreed. In response, she apologized, stating that she wasn't very used to walking around outside. Yukina reassured her, saying not to worry and suggesting she take some deep breaths to calm down. While she was doing so, Yukina observed her breasts and thought about the view. He then asked if it was fine to inquire about her circumstances, addressing her as Oni-san. She hesitated, and Yukina, noting her reaction, assured her that he wouldn't force her to share if it was difficult for her. She asked if it was all right for her not to say, to which Yukina agreed. Yukina speculated about their energetic exit and wondered if she might have had some business to attend to there, that he unknowingly dragged her away from. She blushed and hesitated before slowly starting to speak. She explained that she happened to get lost, finding herself there by sheer coincidence. He inquired if it was true, to which she responded affirmatively. He then suggested changing the question, asking about her plans. She inquired if he meant from now on. He clarified, asking if she had any specific destination or if she had been wandering without a goal in mind. She replied that it might be more accurate to say that wandering without a goal was the goal itself. He further asked about the nature of such a goal. She explained that it was more about aimlessly wandering. He then proposed strolling around with him, mentioning that he had just arrived at the capital and planned to walk around for sightseeing. He asked if she would be interested. She wondered about his request. She expressed her agreement, saying by all means asking him to take her along with him. He responded with an affirmative and said to her that the decision is made. She inquired if he was taken along by his friend. He replied that it was pretty much the case, though they weren't even close enough to be called friends. He began to share details about his friend's identity, but stopped, considering that revealing the hero's presence would imply the imminent revival of the Demon Lord. He thought there was no benefit in needlessly causing her distress, and told her it was nothing, adding that he didn't understand why his friend thought it desirable to bring him along. While wandering the city, he pondered the liveliness of the capital, asking if it was like that every day. She responded that normally, it wouldn't be quite that lively, and the past few months had been an exception. He asked if it was a special occasion, perhaps a festival. She clarified that the past few months had been an exception due to the proclamation made by the Phonia Faith's pontifex last week, announcing the imminent appearance of the hero chosen by the divine in the capital. She conveyed, "The truth is, the Pope made an announcement last week about the brave coming to the royal capital." In response to Yukina's question about what the church said, she explained, rumors of the Demon Lord's resurrection had been spreading as of late, so they did that in order to ease the anxiety of the citizens, even if by a little. Yukina, reflecting on this, thought about his initial consideration and how mentioning the brave's arrival might cause anxiety instead. Yukina suggested, "How about we use this occasion to enjoy the food stalls?" To which she agreed. Afterward, she entered the food stall and expressed wonder upon seeing the dish. He asked the stallkeeper, "Pops, we'll have 2 skewers," to which the stallkeeper agreed. Then, the stallkeeper asked him, "That's quite the beauty you've got by your side," and he asked him whether Yukina is on a date. She wondered, so this is one of those rumored dates that she have heard so much about. The stallkeeper served the food, and he said to her that they will fill their bellies first. The old man threw in some extra skewers, which he thought was a generous gesture. She expressed that she had no idea how to eat these. Surprising him, he proceeded to demonstrate how to eat, and she observed, saying that they eat them directly without using a fork. She thought that this must also be the way of the common people. Afterward, she expressed this is the most delicious food she has ever had in her life. Do all the common people always eat such savory meals? Yukina remarked that it sounded like someone had no idea what common people eat. She exclaimed, "Please don't be ridiculous. There is no one as common as I am. I am the commoner among commoners, the king of commoners herself." He casually suggested, "Well, whatever, let's go check the next stalls," to which she agreed. During their visit to various places, she was surprised to see new things and dishes. When he asked if she was having fun, she replied that this was the most fun she ever had. Yukina mentioned that he was also having as much fun as her. She expressed that time truly goes by when they have fun, to which he agreed. She expressed gratitude to him for not prying into her life, noting that he must have realized she's not part of the common people. Yukina commented, "Well, considering how much of an airhead she has been," to which she inquired if she was really so obvious. He put a necklace on her neck, and she wondered what it was. He mentioned, "It's just a souvenir to remember today by," and asked if she would accept it, noting that he knew it's too cheap an accessory for her to wear. She replied that she didn't care about those considerations and said she would gladly accept it. She mentioned that she had nothing to give him in return. She then removed her ring from her hand and asked him to take it. He expressed hesitation, saying, "Isn't this a bit too valuable for him to have?" She mentioned that it's inelegant to ask about the price of a farewell gift. She insisted, "This is a token of thanks for all his help," to which he happily accepted the ring from her. She bids farewell to him, to which he also says goodbye to her, and she leaves the place. King of Arcs Bernst inquired if he was brave, to which he said yes, and introduced himself. Then the king asked him to raise his head. According to the legend, the demon lord possesses unmatched power, so the king asked the brave whether he was ready to face the demon lord. The hero replied, if such is his destiny, he will gladly accept that. Afterwards, he feels that he was so stressed because of nervousness in front of the king, but he thinks if it was a Yukina, he wouldn't have felt nervous at all. Yukina asked him how the audience with the king had gone, and he inquired if the church had prepared any rooms for them. Yukina mentioned that he would pass on finding a solemn place and would prefer to get a cheap hotel in town, explaining that he wasn't a fan of such places. In response, the hero acknowledged that it might be for the best, mentioning that he had to be away from the royal capital for 2 or 3 days to obtain the holy sword. However, he added that only the brave and the royal family could enter the temple where it lies. Even if Yukina came along, he couldn't enter. Yukina reassured him by saying that he can kill till time. However, he can, so he asked him to not worry about him. Yukina then inquired about which royal would be accompanying the hero. The hero responded, the king's daughter. Yukina thought to himself that he had plenty of time to fulfill his goal, but considered that the hero needed to depart first. Yukina pondered, aren't there too many weapon stores? And wondered which one should he visit? At that time, he observed the shop owner throwing someone out. The shop owner stated that he had no weapons to sell to a bunch of no good woodchoppers like them, and warned that if they ever showed their faces there again, he would smash their skulls open. Yukina wondered if this place was also a weapon store. Upon entering the store, the shop owner threw a hammer towards the door, startling Yukina, who dodged it. The shop owner asked if he was not one of those guys from earlier, to which he begged his pardon for this and inquired if there were any injury. He replied that there were none. The shop owner remarked that his hands were rather well trained and praised him for dodging the hammer just now. Yukina thanked him and asked, what was he flipping out about earlier? When Yukina came in because it caught his attention, the shop owner inquired whether he was watching that. The shop owner mentioned that those amateurs had never even hunted a single monster in their lives, yet they wanted to get their hands on weapons they didn't deserve. The thought of some nitwits using the weapons he managed himself made him so furious that he gave them a good thrashing. In response, Yukina remarked that his customer service really sucks. The shop owner then asked Yukina, what would he like to buy? To which he replied that he would like to get a brand new sword for one of his fellow villagers. The shop owner asked him whether he was not buying for himself, noted that's fine, and requested Yukina to wait for a minute. Yukina mentioned that he knew it. Swords are popular since the Brave's trademark weapon itself is a sword. However, if he had to choose, he'd rather go for a spear. He expressed frustration, saying nobody wants them, yet they cost a lot. Yukina noticed a spear and thought, what's this old-fashioned spear? Shop owner apologized for being late and showed him the knife, which is suitable for the occasional hunter, to which Yukina selected that knife. Then the shop owner asked him whether he didn't want any weapon. Yukina expressed that all weapons here cost a lot, to which he showed him the spear if he worried about the cost. He noted that the spear is as old as it looks, but mentioned that the spear itself is properly solid. Additionally, he added that it's secondhand, so it's cheap, and it's the one he saw earlier. He mentioned that he does get some pretty good vibes from the spear. Since he's there, he thought he might as well buy himself a new weapon. The shop owner thanked him for his purchase. Suddenly, Yukina heard someone cursing him for waking their sleep. Yukina asked the shop owner if he would say something, to which he said no. Then he wondered, where did the sound come from? To which the spear responded that he was holding him in his hands. The spear introduced himself as Grom and said he was one of few weapons who can speak, and greeted Yukina as his new partner. Then they went to the inn, where Spear scolded him for choosing a cheap-ass inn, to which Yukina thinks, when did Spears so concerned with comfort? He had a feeling that if he get rid of that, he would be cursed, to which he inquired what's wrong. Spear remarked that Yukina don't lose his cool easily. Most of the guys who used the spear were shocked beyond belief when they heard the spear talk. Yukina thinks that it's more like he calmed down after walking around in circles. He added that he may not show it, but he was more than a bit shocked. Yukina wondered if the spear was using a different way of communicating than the one used back in the store, or if it was just him. Spear responded that it wasn't just him and explained that back in the store, Spear used the telepathic channel to send the voice only to the person of Spear's choice. The spear mentioned that his partners would feel better if he spoke in a regular way. But Yukina requested the spear to speak in telepathy when they were in the middle of the ground. Spear agreed, saying that it wouldn't want a partner that randomly starts talking to himself in the middle of the city either. Yukina thinks that the spear doesn't feel like a bad guy, so he plans to use him as a conversational partner during his stay in the capital. Soon, Graham and Yukina decided to get along with each other. After some time, Yukina decided to go out after taking a bath and wearing brand new clothes. Graham teased him for being overly excited, and Yukina shamelessly agreed, since it was his primary reason for coming to the royal capital after all. Spear expressed dissatisfaction with Yukina's goals and asked him whether he saw any girls in the city recently, to which he denied. Yukina thought it was also the reason why he cut off his feelings for that lady. Yukina mentioned that he was a beginner at this and expressed his intention to visit a proper brothel. Spear responded positively, suggesting it was a good decision. Spear pointed out the potential risk of contracting a disease from a cheap experience, emphasizing that it could result in a significant loss. Yukina acknowledged Spear for his knowledge, and Spear shared a personal experience, mentioning it had happened to his previous owner. Then Yukina visited a brothel, where he was greeted by a receptionist for coming, to which he thought he had come to become a man among men. Spear compliments Yukina for his behavior. At that time, the receptionist greeted Serena-chan, who was more elegant and beautiful. Serena-chan asked if she could leave the cleanup of the room to someone. The receptionist thanked her for her hard work. Yukina inquired if Serena-chan was also an employee, and the receptionist clarified that she works on a freelance basis. Yukina then left the place to search for her, prompting Spear to ask what was wrong. Yukina found her on the veranda and awkwardly asked if she could be his very first sex partner, and also complimented her as a beautiful lady to make her stop. She asked him if he wished to buy her as a sex worker, to which he replied if he's going to lose his V-card, he would rather lose it to a top-class beauty like her. She thanked him for his praise and said that she has pride in this work, no matter who her client is. She cannot do for free. She even told him that she was more expensive than he imagined. Yukina inquired, "On that note, how expensive are we talking?" She whispered the rate in his ears, to which he replied that it's a goddamn fortune. Yukina, shocked to hear the rate, started to slip his words. He expressed that he would give up for now, but asserted that he would gather the money even if it's the last thing to do. Yukina introduced himself and told her to mark his words that he was definitely gonna purchase her soon, to which she replied that her name was Kune and said she was looking forward to the day. Yukina bought the licensee from the guild for hunting, thinking gotta strike the iron while it's hot. He took the spear and went hunting. Yukina pondered on how he would gather such an extravagant amount of cash, considering he couldn't take the better, paying jobs without ranking up first. Currently in the 5th rank, he aimed to complete more requests to reach a higher rank for better pay. Seeing a request posted on the wall to hunt rats, he thought he would keep on hunting these small fry. Spear remarked, "When you exterminate monsters, you also get to sell their carcasses. You're surprisingly stingy, partner," to which Yukina asked the spear to call him efficient instead. Spear praised him for his skills, and he responded, "These rodents are a farmer's natural enemies, so he exterminated them almost every day, and he suggested Graham to start with 10 of them, and said, 'Let's get into it.' He commenced hunting wild rats in the forest, managing to capture 3. Surprised that his new partner's weapon was used for rats, Spear commented, "He was so confident that Yukina would go for a big game instead, so he could instantly get rich," to which Yukina replied, "It's not like working as a merce was his dream. All he wants is the cash, so big rats are good enough for him." Spear expressed dissatisfaction, mentioning that his spearmanship really sucks. Yukina explained, what can he do because his main occupation is a farmer? Spear acknowledged, for a farmer, he has got lots of potential. Spear thinks Yukina could get pretty far if he learned a few tricks, and so he had to learn spearmanship under the guidance of a spear. Yukina wondered at Spear's words about learning spearmanship under him. He asked Spear whether he was messing with him and attempted to bend the spear, to which Spear asked him to stop, as it was creaking all over. Spear mentioned that he doesn't mean to brag, but some of the guys who used the spear were pretty talented, so Spear said that he was going to use his memories of them to teach the moves that best suit Yukina. Yukina questioned the spear because basically all he did was watch and ask if he was confident to teach him right that way. Spear replied that if Yukina thought he was fooling him, he should just follow his lead for a bit. Spear then began to explain the advantages of a spear's length and how it can be a versatile weapon attacking from any distance. He advised Yukina to keep those moves in mind while hunting at his own pace. Yukina wondered if Spear was going to teach him a more badass move, but instead, it only teaches him basics, to which Spear expressed that'll have to wait until Yukina mastered the basics. Anyway, Spear asked him to keep them all in mind while he hunts at his own pace, to which Yukina agreed. Yukina, armed with the knowledge from Spear, started hunting the rats more efficiently. He noted that he was less tired than on the first day, Spear remarked. That's because Yukina started to move more efficiently and said Yukina had the muscles for it. Yukina thought he had already hunted close to 100 of them in the past and decided to call it a day, heading home. Hiro found the location of the place, but the princess hurried him because of monsters roaming at that place. He asked Princess Aina if she was sure about coming along, no matter what. She responded that it is her obligation as royalty to come with him from this point on, even though it could be dangerous for a young woman. Princess Aina assured that there is no need for concern and mentioned being trained to ensure her own safety. She requested the Lord Brave to focus on himself, to which Hiro understood. Reflecting on her qualities, he thought that, despite expecting her beauty to be her only quality as a princess, she possesses real strength and nobility at her core. He acknowledged her as the girl who will be his comrade. At that time, the hero heard a sound calling to him. Following the steps, he found the knife, which was stuck in the floor. Hiro pulled out the knife, and it introduced itself as Leva and greeted the hero. Yukina kept hunting rats, which made the spear doubtful, so it inquired about that with Yukina, who thinks the same as a spear. Spear expressed that even Yukina are the only merce who hunts these small fry. There are just too many of them. Yukina agreed, but he gets happy because he can reach his goal sooner than he expected. At that time, the spear warned Yukina because of attacks by rats behind him. He noticed the kobolds trembling because of hunger. Yukina speculated that the monsters were attracted to the scent of his meat bag. He considered the overhunting of their prey as a possible reason for the increased presence of starving kobolds. When Yukina inquired about it, Spear advised him to report to the guild that the number of starving kobolds has increased. At the Mercenary Guild reception, Yukina presented his achievements for the day. The staff praised him for the Great Hall and referred to him as the Rat Killer, a nickname Yukina found resembling derogatory. Despite this, the staff considered him a messiah, expressing gratitude for his contributions. Yukina acknowledged that it helped him earn a good profit. When Yukina mentioned kobolds, staff agreed to inform her superior about it, and he entrusted the matter to her. Then the spear asked Yukina to look out where he saw the huge breast of the girl and said, "Holy cow," in his inner voice. The girl heard his voice and asked him about that. Yukina apologized to her for offending. Upon seeing his spear, she realized that he was the rat killer that she had heard. Yukina was frustrated by her words, but Spear advised him to let it go, emphasizing that the fox girl is stronger than him. Yukina apologized and tried to leave the place, but the fox girl expressed her expectation that Yukina would have more grit, but acknowledged she was wrong. Alternatively, she considered stating that she suspected as much. He wondered about her problem and questioned the sword she was carrying, identifying it as one of those katanas. In response, Yukina asked about katanas, and the spear explained that they are a special kind of sword with amazing qualities, to which Yukina acknowledged the spear's extensive knowledge. The spear expressed Yukina's intention to pay another visit to the booby lady, referring to Kune, to which Yukina said affirmatively. Yukina expressed admiration for the fact that she's a doctor by day, thinking she totally rocks in that white coat. He called Graham, expressing regret that he couldn't shake hands with him, and Graham felt the same. Spear pondered whether most people would wait until they've earned the target amount of cash to see her. Yukina applauded their stoicism, but for him, there's no harm in earning a few extra points with her. He wondered upon seeing the preceding visitor, to which Spear told he came for night services. Yukina noted that the person doesn't look like the gentle type. Yukina greeted her while she also greeted and thanked him. Kunai expressed gratitude, mentioning that Yukina saved her from a pushy client who had been causing trouble lately. She noticed Yukina bleeding and pointed it out. Kune inquired whether Yukina's injury occurred when he saved her earlier. Yukina mentioned that the injury happened in the forest and assured it was nothing serious. She insisted on healing him with magic, and Yukina expressed gratitude, promising to pay them back. She refused and said this is her token of thanks for his gifts, which he brought to her every day. Yukina observed her magic where many mages cannot use those magic perfectly. Yukina questioned why a talented mage like her would take a second job as a lady of the night. Kune remarked that Yukina doesn't ask many questions. Yukina mentioned that he doesn't, but added that if she wishes to share something, he is all ears. However, she noted that they don't know each other well enough for such a conversation. Kune suggested going on a date together, considering it as her way of thanking Yukina for coming to her rescue. Yukina observed that the royal capital is always packed with food stalls. Kune told that the Braves Parade was held recently, which might explain the bustling atmosphere. Yukina didn't know that Hiro is on that because he only focused on the princess. Yukina remembered the words of her saying that it was her first time exploring the capital. Since his chance encounter with her, his heart felt tight and wondered if it's because of missing her. He was accused of thinking about another girl, but he denied it and feels that her tits were almost touching him. While speaking of tits, he remembered the fox girl and kunai again, identified that he was thinking about a girl, but this time, it was fox girl. Yukina wondered how she knew about it. He was surprised that she seemed to know what he was thinking, and wondered one has fox ears and another has mind read. Yukina was asked if he was talking about Silverflash. He expressed surprise at the impressive name and learned that it was her epithet, not her real name. When he realized that Rat Killer might be his epithet, he felt insulted. When kunai asked about the other girl, he hesitated to answer. She again inquired about the girls, but he remained silent, and also Yukina feels the breast, which touching his body. Yukina received a penalty for thinking about other girls during their date. The penalty involved the kunai staying glued to him while he escorted her around. Spear called him, but Yukina told him not to speak during their date, to which it makes Spear frustrated. The Spear informed Yukina that the guy he beat up earlier is currently tailing him. Despite not realizing Yukina's involvement in the altercation, the Spear suggested that the man seems bothered seeing the woman he's after next to someone else. Yukina asked kunai to keep silence and he beat him with the spear and tied him in the floor. Kunai expressed that they got interrupted in the middle of their dates. She expressed her thoughts on being a prostitute, acknowledging that the profession can attract unwanted attention and judgment. However, she highlighted having personal reasons and goals that drive her to continue in this line of work, emphasizing the motivation it provides. She noted that being a prostitute allows her to become a specific goal for someone else, considering it an admirable aspect of her chosen path. She expressed her thoughts and noted her perspective on that matter to Yukina. Then, she falls in the arms of Yukina. Please like and subscribe to see the features of video, whether Yukina can obtain his goal, and share your comments at Manghwa Cure if you have any doubts.